welcome back to the Shoogly shed. This is sort of part 2 on the rear cowl for the VMAX. I left you last time having kind of made that sort of loose cowl that just sat on top, and I mentioned that we were going to try and do like a hinge so it could hinge up for fueling. Now, having made that cowl, I realised that because of the shape of it, where at the back of the seat, where it comes down, it would foul the back of the seat as it tries to hinge. So I realised that it needs to encapsulate the back of the seat if it's going to hinge up and down again. That might not make much sense in that description, but I'll show you what I mean in a second. So the way around it is I've cut out the kind of front piece of the cowl, and I'll show you that now. Yeah, so basically I've cut out this section and I've shaped and welded in a piece of 8mm rod to kind of hold the shape. It was quite good actually, because what I could do was I've tacked that rod onto the frame, and then I've managed to kind of manipulate the cowl round the rod just to keep that shape and actually make the shape a little bit more uniform than maybe it was before. I thought I was going to have to do some sort of panel beating to bring it back into shape on the previous one, but actually this has been, well, it's probably been the best way of doing it actually. So essentially, if this is going to hinge up like that, it needs to, the way it hinges, because it's at an angle, this back bit, like I said earlier, was going to foul the back of the seat. So now it's going to, imagine the seat's kind of in here, it'll basically sit down onto the seat, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that said, the next job is to come up with a hinging mechanism. Now, it's not quite as straightforward as a kind of a butt hinge situation. I'm going to have to make, I think, an L-hinge, that's the name, but effectively a hinge whereby when it comes back, it actually comes back and up at the same time. So yeah, a little bit of engineering required. Probably going to have a couple of goes at this. I'm not sure how many iterations it will involve, but you know, the best way to learn is just to have a go at it, like I say. Right, so that process, if you don't know already, is called annealing. Effectively, you raise the temperature of the metal up to its critical temperature, basically cherry red, and then you let it cool back down to room temperature, and any spring in that hoop that I made will dissipate and there won't be any tension left, so when I cut my tacks it won't suddenly like spring out of shape. If you remember, I had to like clamp it together to weld it on, so that kind of tension would still be residual in that rod, so if I just cut them it would just ping. So hopefully with that cooling down it will be straightening itself out. Right, so while the annealing is cooling down back to room temperature, I'm going to make a catch, or a, I don't know, like the male part of the seat catch. I don't know if you remember, but when we stripped back the bike, it had this catch already built into it where the back part of the seat kind of flipped up so that you could fill up. I'm going to try and utilise that catch, make a kind of corresponding catch into this piece of metal here, weld that to the underside of the cowl, so hopefully when the cowl can come up and then click back down into place. We'll see how that works. Right, so I've just welded that catch on that I made just to the side of the cowl here, and as the L-hinges go, it goes up, forward and into place. And then the original catch, if you remember, allows you to bring it up and out again. Yeah, so don't think that could have gone better, to be honest. Definitely one of the trickier jobs, but yeah, it's nice to see that my fabrication is moving on slowly, you know, improving, but that's quite satisfying, I'll tell you that much. The only other thing I did was cut out that back panel. Had a wee kind of rethink. I've put a bead of weld under it to keep it a bit more rigid there, but I think I need to talk to John because it's his bike, but I think I'm going to go a slightly different style of light on the back here, and to do that I've just basically cut that panel out, and then I'll find what light I'm going to use and then rework a back panel back into there when I've got a light. But for the time being, yeah, you can just a gap there just now, but like I say, that's really satisfying the way that just comes out, to allow access to the filler, and then just back in again like that. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I could sit and do that all day long, it's quite fun. Anyway, that's where I'm going to wrap up this episode, and until I come to the rear light, I'm probably going to finish with the cowl for the time being. Good thing about having this done is it allows me to move on now to a seat pan and a seat, and then from there side panels and other wee jobs. So yeah, excited to kind of get the back shape of this bike, you know, near enough in place. As usual, please do give me a like, leave me a comment, and make sure you do subscribe to the Shoogly Shed channel, and hopefully I will see you in the next episode. Take care, goodbye.